Welcome to the second episode of Sportified Minds, a series which delves into the physical and mental conditioning aspect of sporting success. My guest today is Kynan Chenai, an Indian shooter in the trap discipline. Born into a reputed family with a sporting background, Mr. Chennai has represented India at various international events such as the 2016 Summer Olympics and is currently ranked 21st in the world. Shooting is a sport in which India has had considerable success at the international level, and I look forward to learning what made this possible. Welcome, Mr. Chennai, and thank you for this opportunity.
Hi, nice. Thank you so much for having me.
Your father, Darius Chennai, is a former national shooting champion. How
Yep.
much did that influence you to take up shooting?
Well, me and my shooting career started ideally because of him. There was nobody else who introduced me to the sport. And as a kid, I'd go to the shooting range with him, as a kid and shoot a lot of, watch him shoot a lot of clays and try my hand at it as little as I was. And the gun was really heavy and I was a big kid, but I tried my best and I got more and more obsessed with the sport as I grew a little older. And came time around my senior years in school, and that's when I really got into it, feeding off the multiple other sports that I would play, and I would get totally obsessed with this and like want to reach a different level.
You took up shooting quite early in life. What was your training schedule and fitness regimen like then?
Oh, well, I train pretty hard actually. I consider I train pretty hard. I shoot for about five hours technically, working on my technical aspect of the sport, and then I train about 2.5 hours on the mental aspect of the sport, meditation, yoga, whatever stuff like this, and then there's the physical aspect, which about 4 hours of the day goes into. So the day is pretty much packed. It's a full-time job.
So then, did you get to spend time with friends and be a normal teenager?
Oh no, I have no social life. If you if you want to know that, no, I have no social life. You'll find me very rarely saying I've gone out for a party night or I've had a night out with friends or a day out with friends. Very rarely. I can count possibly on my fingers and my toes how many times I've been out. I when you're like at this level and your schedule is so back to back in terms of competitions, you really don't have time to be messing around, because messing around, I say, for me, other people get away with it, they manage, but I can't function the next day. So for me it's a no-brainer. Go to sleep early, wake up early, and get after it.
Your father was your first coach. How was the experience?
Oh, my dad was a very easy coach in the younger years for me to deal with. It was just when I started getting older that I started having more and more arguments with him and like sulking with him. But when I was young, he taught me everything he knew, and it was easy to pick up for me. And my father's a very easygoing type of guy, and he's one of the nicest guys I know. So it was very easy to get along with as a coach.
Later, you were coached by Munshi Singh, a four-time Olympian. How was that different to being coached by your father?
Well, the main thing is the knowledge the person has and the experience of the sport. Mancher has seen and been through a lot more than my dad, and he's gone through 4 Olympic Games, which experience is huge. And to be honest, my first Olympic Games was reached with the help of Mancher Singh, and there's no question about it in my mind. He really helped me develop my technique. He really helped me develop me in my strengths in the sport, whether it was to do with the mental side or the physical side or the technical side. So yeah, the knowledge and experience increases when the shooter learns, but the shooter's got to learn from someone, and that's where your coach comes into play.
Describe the feeling when you won the gold medal in the junior men's trap shooting at the 50th National Shooting Championship.
Oh, that was a long time ago. That was Yeah, ooh, that was a great feeling actually. Coming to think of it right now, I never really thought back that far because I have so many junior national medals and now senior national medals. But um, yeah, it was quite surreal, the feeling, because you come to a point where as a junior you realize that you can start playing the game and developing and playing with the seniors, a little bit, and you're going somewhere. Obviously, for any sportsman, I mean, every time you win a medal, it's a big thing, right? It's a gratification to your hard work. So that was the main point of it.
Shooting is a sport in which India has had significant success. In fact, India's only individual gold medal is in shooting. Does this inspire you or increase the pressure when you compete?
Oh, it's just, for me, it's super inspiring, and it's mainly that gold medal which Abhinav Bindra brought from the Olympics, the bronze medal which Gagan Narang has from the Olympic Games, Rajavardhan Singh Rathor's silver medal in shotgun. It's all so inspiring that others have done it before you. You can also do it, and that's just what gets me out of bed in the morning, and gets me to work. And the drive to win something for your country is a big drive.
You once said in an interview, when I was young and just started to shoot, I would see Olympic rings somewhere and I would tell myself I would work to be there somewhere. Tell us a little bit about the determination and self belief required to become an Olympian.
It The determination was fueled by the obsession. So the obsession of the sport in my head is immense, and to be honest, even this lockdown period, I haven't gone possibly 2 days without thinking about what I'm going to do, when I start shooting again. So the obsession was first, then the determination happened, and through the determination and the obsession both combined, I basically told myself that I was not going to accept any less than trying to make it to the Olympic Games first. Over and above that, we'll see what happens. But first, it was always the Olympic Games. It became to a level where I started dreaming about it. I started dreaming about the Olympic rings. I started in my sleep, and when I was waking up, I was looking at pictures of the Olympics. It was a whole big obsession. So yeah. They
I
say
read,
visualization is the way to go, so I guess that's what it was.
yeah. I read that your training leading up to the 2016 Olympics was 5 hours at the range and 3 hours in the gym. How do you condition your body for these long hours of training, and are you worried about injuries?
Oh, I've had my fair share of injuries already. I've had my fair share of injuries. I'm nearly 30 years old now, so I've had my fair share of injuries over the years, and yeah, the body does take a bit of a beating. But luckily, my sport is not like tennis, and all these more physically demanding sports. So the injuries is less, in the longitude of the sportsman's lifespan is a lot more, in terms of I can shoot till I'm maybe 45 if I'm fit. So I prefer to. In my logic, at this age, it's great to set a base for physical fitness and mental toughness right now, and reap the benefits of it a little later on.
So you said that shooting is not as physically demanding as other sports, but would you consider it to be more mentally demanding?
I'd say I'd say yes. I'd say in other sports you can get away a little bit by being physically overpowering over your opponent, but in shooting it's very difficult to have that advantage. You have to be so mentally tough in yourself that nobody else can penetrate it. So that's basically, yeah, I'd say shooting is a much more mentally tough sport.
Mental preparation is especially important in shooting. How do you prepare yourself before a competition, and do you work with anyone specifically in mental conditioning?
Yeah, so I have a mental coach. He's actually, I don't call him my mental coach because that makes me sound a little crazy, but I call him my high performance trainer, and he's from Italy actually, but lives out in America. His name is Lorenzo, and I've been working with him since the year before the 2016 Olympics, and it's been great. Yeah, they have a knack of putting things in perspective for sportsmen who get, usually us playing at this level, we get caught up in the mix of all the hype and what's going on. So we try they try to keep us down to earth and keep us grounded, and we try to keep our eyes on the prize more, so to say. And I think it's really important to have a mental trainer or a mental conditioning coach in especially a sport like shooting.
What is your advice to an athlete who's going into a high pressure competition for the first time?
My advice would be control what you can, because there's going to be a lot of stuff that you can't control. So that that would be my basic advice, because you really at that point you can't tell someone how to perform and what to do, and they've already got all that locked down. So what's probably going to happen is their heart rate's going to start pumping and their adrenaline's going to start rushing. So if they can control that, then they probably have a good result.
Can you describe a situation where you were distracted during a competition and how you managed to regain focus?
Okay, I can. There are many things that can distract you in a sport like trap. You could have heavy winds blowing while you're shooting, and you still have to shoot, whether you like it or not. It can be raining, and as you said, I have corrective glasses, so the raindrops falling on your glasses, I can't even take them off because then I can't see. So stuff like this all the time happens. People shooting with you can be a little bit of a pain. They can be doing stuff to distract you, and stuff like this. So people people do things, the weather does things, but the main aspect is that none of that's in my control. So I just try and keep focused on what I can control, and I focus on my technique especially, and I focus on my processes in terms of how I'm how I'm shooting, and that usually distracts me from all the other stuff that's going on. So yeah.
The media can be extremely critical of an athlete when they haven't performed as per the expectations of the country. How do you deal with such criticism to come out stronger?
I don't read the papers. Seriously, I just don't. I get my dad, my coaches, all of them to read it. I just don't read it, and I tell them I don't want to know, because yeah, I feel like I don't run my sporting life on what they want. I run my sporting career, and I run my determination and drive through how I can fuel it and how I want it. In my opinion, if I'm going to read something negative about me, I'd rather not. So if it's constructive criticism, I'll take it. But if it's negative, then I won't.
Yeah. According to Abhinav Bindra, it is imperative to look after the mental well being of an athlete, and high performance will follow. What is your view on this?
Mr. Bindra and I are good friends. We chat quite a bit, and he's always been very strong on the mental well being of an athlete. And I think he's absolutely spot on right, because athletes go through a lot of pressure and a lot of highs and a lot of lows. And funnily enough, there are a lot more lows than there are highs. So I think that an athlete and their coaches keeping an eye on their mental well-being is a big advantage to their future.
Yeah. Sports psychologists have defined mental toughness as the ability to consistently perform toward the upper range of your talent and skill, regardless of competitive circumstances. What are your views on this?
Okay, my views on mental toughness is that firstly, it's just a question of developing it. Okay, everybody has a certain amount of mental toughness, but developing your mental toughness to a level where you can compete at the highest stage, that's the trick. And I believe that I believe in a concept called callousing the mind. It's a concept which I've read about a lot, and uh, this guy called David Campbell on YouTube and stuff. He talks about it, and it's basically developing habits that are so rigid and so to the point in terms of your training and your timing and your attitude towards uh, life in general, and how you go about your day. You know, whether you wake up at whether you set your alarm at 7 o'clock and you hit the snooze button, or you get out of bed at 7 o'clock. You have to be disciplined, and basically you have to create a mental stability around your sport, which allows you to be absolutely critical and disciplined every single day, and trust that it'll end up in a win on some day. It'll translate into a win on some day. So that's what I think.
Do you think you perform better under extreme pressure?
Yes, which is, in my opinion, quite sad, because sometimes when the competitions are a little lower level, I don't perform as well as I should, because I like that pressure. I like that amount of adrenaline that comes into the body for some reason. But I've been working lately on trying to perform consistently throughout all competitions. So that's another aspect to me. But yeah, in my career, I have performed, let's say, better than people expected when the pressure was higher. So, but according to me, I need the pressure to perform.
India pulled out of the Shooting World Cup in Cyprus earlier this year due to the coronavirus. How has the lockdown affected the shooting fraternity?
Oh, it's like shooting never existed. It's been it for for the the community, for the shooting world. I have friends all over the world in the shooting world, and all the World Cups this year were cancelled. All the world, even the Olympic Games were cancelled. So there's uh, there's a whole hustle and bustle about what's actually going to happen in our sport, and how we're going to get back to what it was, and excuse me, and improve the sport. So uh, we don't know lockdown in terms of how it's affected our shooting. We don't know yet, because we haven't started training yet. But I presume that it'll take a few weeks and everyone will be back into it. But till then, we just have to wait and see what happens.
So then how have you maintained your fitness during this time?
Oh, I just increased the amount of time I spend in the gym, because I don't really have much else to do. So I spend a lot of time in the gym. I'm actually working a lot on my weaknesses lately, and in terms of stuff like balance, and I'm working on new exercises which will help me, which obviously my team has given me to do, and which will help me once the lockdown is over with my sport. Stuff to do with biomechanics and physiology of the sport. So,
What are your plans for the future?
well, I'd like to shoot. I'd like to shoot for as long as I can. I can. If I can keep performing at a high level, I'd like to do that. But eventually, after that's done, I'd like to pass on the knowledge that I've gained to the younger generation, and if they'll have me. But yeah, I'd like to pass on my knowledge to someone who's got a similar drive and focus that I had at their age, and I'd like to bring them up to a level and see what they can do. So the coaching aspect is always there for me. What I'd really like to do is something along the lines of helping athletes, and working with the human body. And I have a I studied a lot of biomechanics and physiology and kinesiology and all these sort of things in college, and I'd like to put some of that knowledge to use and help out people who need it. So let's see how it goes. I might start an academy or something. Who knows?
Thank you for your time, Mr. Chennai. You've given us valuable insights on how hard work and training contribute to success, as well as your approach to hone your physical and mental toughness. Your advice to develop discipline and mental stability and to focus on controlling what you can is relevant across the spectrum and not just for competitive sports. Given your determination, self belief, and drive, it is no wonder you've achieved significant success in your chosen sport, and I'm sure we'll see you achieve many more milestones in the coming years. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a great initiative. I hope you get a lot of viewers.
Thank you.